I'm also gonna like be checking the different feeds to make sure they're coming through okay.
Sounds good. Sounds good.
So
So if we're if this is filler or Prater or whatever,
mhm.
I know you know what a Bill Gray's is, and I know you know what a White Hot is.
I know White House. I haven't heard about that Bill Grace thing.
Oh, really? Isn't that a? I mean, I know for sure they
I
have
mean,
them all over Rochester,
it could be a Rochester thing, and
but
it
I
doesn't
can't. I gotta believe
actually
it's in
come.
Buffalo.
Sometimes, like garbage plates are synonymous with
Yeah.
Rochester, and they're not a thing in Buffalo.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Oh. What about a beef on weck?
Oh yeah, that's Buffalo's.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's
that's good
ours.
stuff. That's good stuff right there.
Yeah. The best place to get a beef on wicker under is actually like around the block from me.
Awesome.
Yeah,
We
Schwabbles.
Schwabbles. We went to we were visiting my wife has family in Rochester, and we were visiting someone, and we stopped first for a little make it a little trip for us, and we stopped in the I think it was Geneva in the Finger Lakes,
Yeah.
and had a tremendous beef on weck there
Oh
at
yeah.
one of the bars. It was excellent.
Nice. Yeah, Geneva's a really cool town.
Yeah, yeah.
My wife and I spent our 10th anniversary at Belhurst Castle, which is like kind of at the tip of Seneca Lake, and Geneva is like a 15 or 20-minute drive from there.
Was
No,
that like
no,
one of those wineries or
no,
something? There's
sorry,
like a
Geneva.
winery right there.
They got a winery in it, and it's a no shit real castle.
Hmm.
And if you stay, they turned it into like a hotel. So we've got like a normal hotel for most of it. But if you stay in like the big tower, there's a wine spigot on like the second floor that's just out there in like the main kind of area.
Yeah.
So like if you stay over in the phallic part of the tower, you there's a main line of wine right
What
in
part
the
of a
middle.
tower? What part of the tower is not phallic?
Yeah. Um, um, but yeah, you just get to hit that wine all day long.
That
Just
sounds great. That sounds
if you
awesome.
like dry red wine, it is. So I was very happy.
Oh,
Um,
excellent.
but yeah, so
So
no, that's actually in that is Geneva, New York, right there. And I was trying to think, Seneca Falls is what is like a 20-minute drive away, which is where a lot of like women's rights stuff started in right there,
awesome.
the early 20th century. So
Now,
there's
now paint a picture for me. Was it like a pull tab of wine or like little faucet of
what
wine?
is it?
What was it?
There's like a metal grate door over it that you've got up that you have your room key will unlock. So they do
That's
keep
the
it
one.
locked up a bit.
That's so the riffraff can't come in
Just
and
can't.
get
Yeah.
to the spigot of wine.
Yep. So you gotta unlock it and get to your secret spigot, and it is, I
Nice.
think, just like a little pull down,
Ah,
and
nice,
you fill up your
nice.
goblet.
Excellent.
Yeah.
Does the goblet is the goblet in your room or
Hmm.
nice?
Yeah. 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 So Belcher's Castle is pretty cool.
That sounds
Everything
very
around
cool.
Seneca Lake is really neat.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had a great time, and I was actually saddened when I looked up very recently that there was a little bar that we went to called I think it was literally called Sausage and Beer, and they were closed, like they said permanently closed.
Quack, quack. Ducks in
Oh.
your back.
And they have a special announcement always popped in to let me know the ducks are in the yard.
Yes, excellent,
They usually come in early in March, and then they just start arriving the last week or so.
excellent,
Yeah, wild
excellent,
ducks just come through. It's
nice.
funny. We got chickens, and out
Oh,
by
yeah,
the
sausage
coop,
Jacksons.
the turkeys will walk by and just kind of scratch around outside, and the ducks will be out there. And I have all these different wild birds just hanging out by the chickens, and it's kind of funny.
So, you know, my mom used to tell me that so like they had chickens and ducks that they would raise, and that sometimes I don't know the physics of this or how this happens, but a duck egg would get into a chicken nest,
Hmm.
and then the chicken would sit on them like her eggs, and then
Hmm.
they would all hatch. So then, but then what would happen is when all the chicks would follow the chicken to the hen to to the water where the food and water is,
Mhm.
the duck would jump in the water,
Oh, that's
and
funny.
the hen would freak out like,
Yeah.
oh my chick's in the
What are you
water.
doing?
But the duckling was
Yeah.
just like, yeah, no, this is good, this is
This is
good.
what I do.
But
That's
the hen was
funny.
just worry and scream.
Oh, that's funny. Yeah.
So there you go. That's something you could try to get to happen there.
I would love to have my own ducks. But, all right, so welcome everybody to Band of Bards Comics Chat. I'm Tim, joined by Dan Membiela. Biela. Oh my God,
Membiela.
we went over that so much and I still screwed it up. You know, I can.
It rhymes with Cinderella.
Membiela.
Membiela.
Membiela. I was looking at
You're
it
doing
as I'm
great.
trying to say it, and that's what screwed me up. Yeah. Sorry.
You're doing great. You're doing great. You're killing it.
Yeah. Killing something, that's for sure. Yeah, Dan is going to have a comic book called Under God, launching on Zoop. Remind me, is it May 10th?
May 10th is the go
10th.
live date.
Go
Yeah.
live. It's exciting.
Very exciting. The anxiety levels are through the roof. So
Yeah.
it's a very exciting time.
So you said this is your first crowdfunding campaign you're running?
Yeah, this is my very first crowdfunding campaign. So I have a comic, Good Agent, that's on the the application formerly known as Comixology. So I have seven issues of that out, but this is the first time where, so it's a 44-page graphic novel and it's a self-contained story.
Nice.
So hopefully, everyone will respond well to it. It's artisanal small batch story that I'm making just for you.
Oh, well, that's sweet of you. So the pre-launch pages on Zoop, if people are familiar with Kickstarter, it's kind of similar. You have a very short description, and you click the Get Notified button. I'm going to drop the link here in a second, but
Great.
I'm just looking at it again, and when I checked it out earlier, what stood out to me is for comp titles, you put listed V for Vendetta, which is, so that immediately got me excited. I did
Excellent.
get to check out a little bit of kind of the premise, and that you've got like quasi red state, blue states that have just kind of decided they are going to have their formal split. Drop the link right now, so go check that out.
Thank you.
So they've kind of like decided to actually have their little national divorce, and I don't know if a lot of this was planned before any of that kind of chatter was in the national discourse, or if that's what kind of inspired a little bit of it.
No, I want to answer your very important question about the inspirations for the story. But first, Tim, I want to thank you for making space for me on your show here,
thanks.
and I really, really appreciate you creating it and having it here and being here. So thank you very, very much. I truly, truly appreciate it.
Thank you. That's very sweet.
So yes, there is in fact a page in Under God that no one has seen yet, because I've been tweeting photos of the pages as I've completed them. But there's one page right around the middle, which is kind of like this Soylent Green is people part of the story, and it's very much ripped from the headlines. So it is a world that is very different from our world right now, but it's really just a very small turn of the dial that has led us to that very different world.
Very cool. That right there, Dead Hours design. That's Chris, the other half of Band of Bards. So it's nice. He jumps in. He'll like get into the chat, which is helpful, right? Like whenever we do these things, I am the one who gets to be the boob up here, stumbling through everything and slaughtering people's names. But Chris
did great. You did great.
Chris hops into the chat, and that's really good and helpful too, because
Awesome.
like
Hey,
it is really hard to try to like do this and monitor chat and reply to stuff, and so yeah, I always like to recognize that Chris is in the chat.
I can only imagine how difficult it must be to monitor chat while you're trying to talk.
I tell you, like the streamers who do it and like make money and stuff off of it, it is a real freaking skill that has to be developed. It's
for sure.
You know, try and do this for a bit, and you start to appreciate a little better that it is a real job.
It's very much like everything. All labor is skilled labor.
Exactly.
As soon as
Yeah.
you start to do something, you
Oh,
realize,
hell yeah.
damn, this is hard.
Yeah.
This sucks to do this.
Absolutely. I mean, you can almost imagine that, like, you almost are like a TV show producer in a way, and you're here trying to direct it and plan it and also be the star. Like, I don't know. So, my hat's on, but it's also off to those folks. Um,
Yeah. So as you probably saw in the stuff that I've been pushing about Under God, it's set in a world where we do get our big beautiful walls built, but the powers that be don't just stop at the borders of the country. They decide, let's go all the way, and there's no more red or blue. It's you're either in the walls or you're out of the walls.
Okay. Oh, they got
So-
the walls.
They got the walls.
Fucking dickhead.
They built them, man. They built them. Good for
Yeah.
them. They did it, and not crappy slat walls. I don't know if you saw the images. It's not crappy slat walls.
Yeah,
It's
I was gonna
big,
say,
big, you know,
Those,
apartheid walls.
those were they found a legit contractor to make those, and not just somebody taking tax dollars off the top.
Just a guy. Yeah.
Let me let me slam these, a couple feet into the ground so that a stiff wind blows them over. Oh man.
Yeah. Sadly, they did a real good job of it. So.
Well, there's a lot of great science fiction that revolves around stuff like that. Like I'm a big Heinlein fan. He's had, and I cannot think of the specific story off the top of my head of his. But it's a similar situation where like the country in some respects has been walled off, and I can't even remember if it's specifically supposed to be the United States or if it's just like a future state. And criminals and stuff get excommunicated or like sent over the wall literally and have to live out in the frontier, and it's a lot like that.
Yeah, it's
And-
taking political prisoner to a
Yeah.
whole different level.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So I'm myself, I'm a big sucker for allegories. I am a big proponent of taking something and making it very similar to what real life is, but you absolutely need to change a few, critical details of it so that people don't get so hung up on it being like, oh, he's trying to make a social commentary on this, current event or this and this. Like, you need to change a few things. You can't call them like Republicans and Democrats. You got to give different party names. You can't have the main character looking too much like a real life politician. You gotta at least change him up enough to so that doesn't become like a distracting thing, or in these trying social media times that you don't have like troll armies coming after you and just screwing your stuff up, and you're like, I'm just trying to sell a comic, bro, and I don't need your grief.
True, and I agree with everything. And also, sometimes you just need to hit a nail on the head.
Mhm.
So it's a mix of both that comes into play. So you're a fan of V for Vendetta?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's a
Yeah.
great, amazing work. So how amazing is David Lloyd's artwork, where he conveys so much expression in a completely still mask, like a completely frozen mask
Isn't that so
has
wild?
an incredible range. Like I cheat in Under God, and the masks kind of move a little bit and have to show expression, but not David Lloyd, not a master like David Lloyd.
Yeah.
It's
That
that same mask, but it's an entire range of
Yeah,
emotion.
I was just looking for it, but it's tucked a little bit further back under my desk. And
What'd you think of the movie? Did you
I
see the
really
movie?
enjoyed the movie.
Yeah, I
um,
thought the movie was good, very good too.
you know,
It's different, but it has the same. It doesn't look like the horse, but it has the same gallop.
Yeah. The movie itself was my first exposure to the title. Like probably most people.
Unless you're really old and then you tracked it down in
Yeah.
little comic shops.
It's a kind of story that I think I just naturally gravitate towards, right? Like it mixing in some more kind of like themes about how America's wars in the Middle East without, they showed some actual footage, but like never said anything specific about them. Just alluded to the wars in the Middle East being the start of a worldwide downfall of things. And it's like, this is just close enough to reality that you can absolutely see this happening.
Yeah.
And, yeah, it's pretty wicked to think of some kind of like religious fanatics partnering up with, TV grifters who just want to make rich and don't care like who they promote and platform, and like whatever, these kind of horrible forces come together in a very corrupt way that really it's about finding some sort of controlling mechanism. And in V for Vendetta they use the virus and cures for them.
Yeah, and then another excellent, just like you're saying, another excellent angle which is a total slice of realism, but then just turned slightly. So in the comic book world, is people in power using a horrible event to their advantage to then whip people up and almost getting them to sign off on things and do things that they normally would never have done. Like,
I mean, it isn't that far off though from like how we reacted to 9/11 and things like the Patriot Act.
Yeah, exactly right.
Again, like I try not to get too heavy into current events and politics on these, but like obviously it's pretty relevant for the comics discussion.
Yeah,
and I think that was like one of the most haunting things with that. And V for Vendetta was what? It was written in the 80s?
Yeah, yeah.
Right?
The future in V for Vendetta, I think, is 97.
Yeah.
Have you seen any of the Alan Moore BBC classes that he's
No,
done?
I haven't.
They're wonderful.
I
Highest
so many great
recommendation.
things about him. I need to.
He makes a funny comment where, in the 80s, he writes the future of V for Vendetta to be 1997 because he thought, well, that's a year that's never going to happen. Like, that's clearly so far in the future that we'll never reach 1997.
The way people thought about like the year 2000 or,
exactly. 2020.
Gosh, what wasn't like a lot of the events from the original Terminator, wasn't that future supposed to be like 2017 or something like that? Like 2017 popped up a lot of things.
Yeah.
Billy Joel's got a post-apocalyptic song that is set in 2017, and I remember hearing him do a commentary on that. It's like, I just picked that because it sounded, it was just kind of random year off the top of my head that sounded like it was really far off, and we'd never see it.
Yeah. Well, it rolls around.
Really
it rolls around. Yeah. Now it's quaint. It's in the past.
Yeah. And it's like, wait a minute. We're not too far off from the Jetsons. I think the Jetsons were like in the 2040s.
I need a robot maid service, Rosie. Is that her name? I think so.
Rosie. Rosie the robot. I mean, we got the little Roomba things, right?
Yeah, well, and Elon is gonna. Did you ever see those plans for Elon's robot? They're the most ridiculous, like junior high school kid writing out stuff on the back of his folder.
That's what the guy is, right? Like, if you ever see interviews, he talks about how much he loves sci-fi, and I've seen some of the books that he mentions being big inspirations to him. Like, I mean, really, like, you break the guy down, and he was a rich kid born into tons of money from, mines in South Africa during the apartheid years.
Yeah.
Took all that money and went off to America and, fancy universities, I think like UPenn. Managed to bump into people who actually were smart. And he's not like a dumb guy by any means. He's just like a lot of affluent kids. They much higher opinion of themselves. Like, you're kind of average, bro. But like, the money allows you to throw it at people who can actually do the things.
Right.
You get all these crazy ideas from reading sci-fi books that are, the best sci-fi becomes science, reality. And that's, I think, a fun thing when you go back and read older sci-fi. You're like, this actually happened.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
In those robot designs, and the thing I love the most of all of it is one of the little, and it's done in such a cute little like. I mean, I literally, if I had done that at 14, it would look. I mean, it's graphically much nicer than I would have done. But the little call out to like knees and hands,
Yeah.
I totally would have done it exactly the same way as a 14-year-old. But he writes human level hands, which is not a technical term. It's not like
Yeah.
that was made up there on that InDesign document where they created that graphic. Human level hands. I love that expression. I love it so much. Like,
It's
really,
a total layperson just going out and doing it, and it's like, I will make this. Like, no, you're gonna like throw a bunch of money at other actual engineers to make something. And the reason I think the space rockets thing are actually successful compared to like some of the other ventures is that making cars not easy, but like you can fool yourself into thinking that you can just pull that off, right? Rocket science, whole new freaking level, a whole new level of government regulation, and that's something where the actual brains for certain, firmly plant down and say, okay, bro, come for your like whatever quarterly visit, tour of the grounds, we'll show you what's going on, and stay the hell away because people will die if you don't.
yeah. There's no in betweens. It's either this way or it doesn't.
Yeah.
It doesn't work. You're just spilling fuel and blowing things up. If
Mm-hmm.
you don't,
There's
one way
cars,
that works.
you can kind of muddle your way through cars, and solar factories promoting solar roofs and whatever. Like, that's actually a big factory that's supposed to be making that stuff is right here in Buffalo.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Is that an Elon thing? Solar roofs?
Yeah, so this thing, it was dubbed as the Buffalo Billion, and this was when the former Governor Cuomo was in like his first or second term, and was kind of like hitching his big reputation on bringing economic prosperity back to Buffalo. And they essentially allocated $1 billion taxpayer dollars to invest in different like strategic initiatives. Something like 800 million of that 1 billion went into this one manufacturing facility. It's gigantic. It was like an old brownfield thing. They had to rebuild it, right? But their whole thing was the state then identified like a solar company that was going to essentially rent it. And the state was going to pay for the entire facility, pay for all the equipment, pay for everything. And the company just had to come in and work there. So really nice, sweetheart deal. That one got bought out by Solar City, which then got bought out by Tesla. So that's how, through several different it's a comedy of errors, really. There's a Tesla presence in Buffalo because of all that. But
Nice.
yeah, so that's a sticking point around here.
Awesome. Hey, I have a prop, Tim, that I would like to show
Okay.
because it is it's going to be terrible to see here. What about this? Can you
It's
see?
not bad. I can see
So
that.
this entire page, this real page is one of the add-ons
Okay. Very cool.
where you can be drawn into all 3 panels of this page and then receive the actual page. This page
Nice.
that you hear.
That's pretty special.
That's kind of special, right?
Yeah. I like that.
There's only
So,
one of those. There's only one of those, but that's
Very
going
cool.
to be available May 10th. Sign up to be notified of launch.
Mm-hmm. Again, right there. It's in
Yeah,
the chat.
excellent.
Just go fill your little email address into the thing and hit get notified. That's pretty cool because, like, being drawn as a popular thing, right? We've got a few slots for that in Sentience. Selling individual pages is really popular too. I don't know if I've ever seen anybody do it where it's. I'm sure it has been. There's just so many who can
Yeah, I
keep
think I
track
had
of
it
all
as
the
a note.
campaigns. Yeah,
I was watching everyone's
yeah.
crowdfunding ideas as I was
Mhm.
going along.
That's
So
cool.
yeah, I'm pretty sure I saw that.
Get the
somewhere.
page that you were drawn into. That's really
Yeah,
cool.
yeah. You get the
And,
actual page. I'll be
I mean,
sorry to see it
that-
go, but if it makes the book come out,
Oh
I'm
yeah,
happy to
Abs-
have that be part of it.
that's the thing you've got to do though with these crowdfunding, especially as you're starting out, is just continue, spend months watching them and taking notes about like what you see being picked up as popular, what you see is like maybe not as popular but still kind of necessary, and what things just tend to not be picked up a lot because you don't want to, excuse me, put in a whole bunch of stuff that just takes up space on the browser on a little tiny web phone screen. So what was that whole process like for you?
Yeah, so I mean, I have a whole Google Doc of copy pasted ideas that were just ripped right from other people's Kickstarters, and I really boiled it down to, excuse me, I'm totally an unknown quantity to everyone, so I wanted to keep it as very simple as possible. So my funding goal is as low as possible.
Mm-hmm.
The everything is structured as very low as possible, and I just want to get this artwork out. I just want to have this project be out there because I've been making. So like I said, I have my comic good agent.
Mm-hmm.
I've been making comics for through Comixology for since 2017. So I think Under God represents the very best of my work so far, and I'm giving my most at dollar store prices. So
Mm-hmm.
I hope people respond to that. I hope I hope the story appeals to them. I hope, excuse me for clearing my throat. I hope that people like what I've been working on. A small batch artisanal graphic novel just for you. I made it just for you. So I hope that you all come and get it. I want to ring the dinner bell. It's almost ready.
Yeah, and it's a frustrating thing a little bit, right? To as you trying to set prices, and oh my gosh, can that be a thing that you really lose sleep
Yeah.
over? Is whether or not you're pricing it right, and too much, and no one's gonna want to pay attention to it. Too little, and you're going to completely screw your budget up. But like, yeah, it's a hard spot to be in. Yeah, is the first time or even the second or third time. Once it takes a bit to establish that kind of reputation, and people talk it as establishing your brand. I kind of despise using business buzzwords, but at the same time, you know, brand building is a very important thing, and I think it's something that is not super well understood in a lot of ways. Like you know, individual people should have personalities, not brands. But like as you develop as a creator or a company, either way, like you kind of have trademarks of what you do in the work, and the work
Right.
itself develops its own kind of brand, whether or not you maintain the same exact artistic style throughout, or if you just have certain trademarks that you do, or if you're just known for very eloquent and detailed, well thought out story building that kind of ties in and nets from one to the other, and like you know plots and storylines later in the work come back to sink in with and, some of the older and early things that you read that seem as if maybe they're just like a fringe kind of thing that is unimportant, or it could be that you're just an amazingly detailed artist that has exceptional line work, or somebody who's just such a talented colorist, whatever. I'm going
Or
off
you're
on
like me, just someone trying their
right,
hardest, getting
but
up every day and trying their hardest to,
well,
to put this
that's a
out.
big part of what Jared Lujan does, right? And he just keeps telling everybody, like, hey, put on Wu Tang and believe in yourself. And a lot of that just, it's an endearing thing. We all love Jared for that. But it comes through in the work, right? It's a very positive attitude. It's a very, like, community focused, re-encouraging thing. But it's also kind of like a self-affirmation, I think, for Jared, too. And telling yourself to every single day, get up, just put on something that motivates you and believe in yourself and keep
Right.
going at
Yeah,
it. And
that's awesome.
eventually it comes
Definitely.
through, right? And I
Yeah,
mean,
man.
that's the same thing that's going to work for you. And that kind of work ethic and that just determination to get, believing in your art and your storytelling, and knowing that it's going to catch on. Maybe not right away, but you just got to keep going back and maybe change up some messaging, maybe change up a different approach, but the core thing that you're doing remains the core, and you just continue to push at it and push at it, and that's the struggle.
Right, right, right. So so aside from that add-on, I have everything just very simply done. I have a $5 PDF.
Mhm.
I have the $8, so it's a 44-page self-contained graphic novel, $8.
That's a
Or
steal.
it might be $9. I think it's $8. Then I have a signed head sketch version that is $12 for the first 48 hours, and then that becomes $15. And then that then I have a retail version. I think it's 35%
Okay.
off the $8 price. And then it's just these add-ons. I think I have a Good Agent 1 through 7 bundle, but that's only like $3 or something. So it's really just the PDF, the physical copy, and then the physical head sketch copy. And
Okay.
I'm really very excited that the way yeah, I think you said you put up the cover that was on the soup page, but if you anyone who sees it, left the left spine of the book will be all black, but then the back cover will be all black. So then I can do negative with like white gel
That's
marker.
cool.
I can do negative head sketches. So I'm really very excited about that.
Very cool.
So get those head sketches. I'm working so hard for you. You're gonna love it.
That's cool. And that's an important thing too, is that you're keeping that simple. Not and not only regardless if it was your first time or your 10th time or whatever, like there's a lot to fulfillment, and when you're the only person doing it, or maybe you've got like someone in your house helping you out, it's a lot of work, and you've got to be very meticulous in the fulfillment and the way you do it. And I mean, checklists save your butt, but keeping that campaign kind of simple is something that helps set you up for success throughout the whole process
Right.
of it.
Yeah, and I wanted also to make sure that I hit that September 1st. September 1st is a fulfillment date. So the campaign starts May 10th and ends June 10th. Then I have to, like, for instance, I have to finish drawing that page where I have to put a person into it. Then I have to just finish, the I think I have 2 more pages of actual initial art that I have to do. But then it all has to be lettered. All the digital effects have to go in. So it's going to be just a little bit more time, but I'm confident that I can hit that September 1st
Very cool.
fulfillment date. So I would just want to make sure that I hit that also.
Yeah.
If you say a date, you gotta hit a date.
You gotta do your best to hit it, and people will be understanding.
Oh
with
yeah,
that.
yeah. If
I
stuff
mean,
happens,
and then once it goes off to the printer, we got
fingers crossed.
we got a not too happy email today about Final Gamble that it's still trying to get through U.S. Customs,
Oh,
and
I'm
it's
so
like,
sorry.
I am so grateful that folks have been understanding about that, but at a certain point, like, I mean, everybody's patience wears out. I mean, mine has worn out.
Yeah, yeah.
So
Yeah, I was very, very happy to find Comics Wellspring, COMIX Wellspring here in Michigan.
yeah, we've
And
used them for all the prospects copies.
oh, awesome.
They were exceptional.
Yeah, excellent. I've only heard great things about them, and I didn't know they existed. I just liked the idea of keeping the money here in Michigan. So when I saw that they were there and that people liked them, I was over the moon. So yeah, that's going to be a little day trip for us. We'll play hooky from work and go.
Nice.
I already did the Google map, and there's like some bars around there and a comic
Oh,
shop,
nice.
and we're gonna just go make a day of it,
That's
hang
cool.
out, go pick up the books. Yeah, it'll be
You
cool.
get a lot of photos of that for the socials.
Yeah, exactly.
People kind of eat that stuff up though, and that saves you a little bit of money on the shipping. That's
Yeah,
makes it
exactly
worth it.
right. Yeah, and it was more than a little bit of money. I think it was like $200 or something.
Yeah. I mean, depending on the drive and all that, but getting to have that more personal experience, and
Yeah.
that's pretty cool. Maybe
Yeah. I'm looking forward to that.
maybe you can put one add-on up there that somebody gets to drive along with you.
So
One lucky Michigander gets to come
that's
along.
just my wife. I'm sorry. That scene is just for my wife. I apologize.
5,000.
She might want to sell it off, but
Yeah,
but no,
$5,000 to back and take that risk. I'm like, I don't know who's gonna pick this, but if you're gonna pay me enough money to make this comic, I
go
will.
have wings with Dan on to go pick up the comic.
Oh man, maybe I'll try that sometime.
Oh, I love the. I'm sure it's very cool, but I love the name. It makes me smile every time I see it. Because I'm creeping on the Zoop campaigns too to see how everybody's doing their add-ons. What is it? It's called Tim's Secret Stash.
Oh yeah,
or Mystery Stash. What is it called?
The Tim's Secret Stash. It's just a comic from my own collection.
Yeah. I think I used to pick up Tim's Secret Stash behind the bowling alley back in high school.
Oh man,
Tim's Secret Stash.
maybe a toss of gummy in there. Who knows?
That Tim guy always comes through, man.
I think we would probably be breaking some laws if I tossed an edible in with that. But no, it's legit. I got a couple set aside. Like they're not crappy comics either. They're not like just the garbage things.
And please, me smiling about it is I'm in no way trying to or say that there's anything funny about it or bad about it or silly about it. I just, the name makes me smile. Tim's Secret Stash. Like it's like why isn't this maxed out already? Why hasn't everyone signed up for Tim's Secret Stash? And then it's even like a little mystery box. Like
I mean, you're gonna get a regular floppy comic that's from my collection, bagged and boarded and taken care of, just like any of my others. It's just maybe something where like I didn't keep up on that series, or I forgot to get it added to my pool, or something that I checked out and I decided I didn't want to like keep up with it. But
So you're saying there might be an Amazing Fantasy 15 in there?
There could be some really good stuff in there.
Wow.
Probably just from like the last, no more than like 3 years old, probably.
So you're saying you're guaranteeing someone's going to get an Amazing Fantasy 15? Is that what you're saying?
Yes.
People should really start hitting that. I don't know why people aren't getting that secret stash.
It did pretty well in our two previous campaigns. I think maybe it's just because it's a little bit lower on the list there. People only scroll so far on a page.
Oh, I have no concept of how much people are hitting it. I just love seeing it. Like, and who wouldn't? Who wouldn't?
Yeah, I mean, why not? I think the idea came from that when we were talking about campaigns for Final Gamble and Prospects, and Chris and I were chatting with Melissa Mazzaros. We hired her to help us out with that, with the Don't Hide PR. And we joked about like, we all kind of like grew up in punk rock scenes, and how bands would like literally sell their own T-shirts off their backs to get something funded. And, I was like, I've got these punk rock T-shirts from like when I was 15, 16 years old, and I still have them.
Awesome.
She's like, oh man, Melissa's like, I could probably catch some decent money. You should just sell some of your shirts. Like we literally sold our shirts for this. I'm like,
awesome.
I don't know if I want to back with my Voodoo Glow Skull shirt, but I'll sell some of my own comics.
Awesome. Which, by the way, while we're plugging things, Final Gamble 1 is a lovely book.
Thank you.
It's a wonderful, wonderful book, and what a great. So not just structured in such a unique, interesting way, but then what it's building to is very much not what you would expect from the structure that you see. So very nicely done. Kudos to that team. Very, very nicely done.
That is an incredible team there. Robin Singer, the writer, she just, like, one of the things that it was the very first submission that came in to us when we opened them last April. It just stood out. Chris and I were like, holy crap, how's this the first one that we got? But like, it was very evident just from reading the pitch that there was a lot of very well detailed thought put into the entire story. And you know, as we've continued to speak with Robin and about all the other future issues, I mean, that just continues to come out more and more. And the level of detail being put into like the individual like, character bios and stuff, and things that will never see in the books themselves, but are important for just understanding the characters. And a lot of, you know, that's something that I don't know if that's taught at Gail Simone's school. Robin attended Gail's
Cool. That
comic
comic book
school.
school?
Yeah, and I wonder if that is coming from there. But like, that is a level of detail that you don't expect from a young writer for sure. And a lot of like writers who have been doing things for years and years don't always stop to think about setting up that kind of structure. And the payoff over the long term of the series, I mean, it's great. But yeah, Jorge Santiago Jr. is the line artist, Harry Saxon's the colorist, and George Gant is the letterer. They're all just phenomenal talents. They worked
kudos
so
to
well together.
Yeah.
Oh gosh,
They did great.
yeah.
It's an excellent book, and yeah, there's a left turn that it takes that is just awesome. It's not at all what you think you're.
No,
You enter a room and then you later realize, well, wait, what
Yeah,
room am I
it's-
in? Like it's very well done, very well done.
it's a series that'll be. It's like kind of like more of the slower building tension, and you know, people need to kind of stick around and see how the first few issues develop, and they, you know, will be pleasantly surprised, or they'll be horrified and interesting. But like, yeah, we've gotten to read scripts up through issue 8 so far, and it's good.
Cool.
But thanks
Now-
for bringing that one up.
No problem. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I backed it and I enjoyed the heck out of it.
Thanks.
I was glad that I did.
I'm
So listen,
gonna be
speaking
excited to ship it to you.
Oh no, I got the
did you-
digital.
you-
I got the digital copy. I try to back things and then I just have limited resources
No,
for
no.
doing that. So
I think we,
get the digital for a lot of
yeah, I
things.
think everybody who backed it at least got a digital copy of it. So I wasn't sure, but yeah, I'm just excited to fulfill that.
Now speaking of submissions, Tim, and so I can't. I don't know how the chat's doing. I didn't see anything pop up, so I don't know. I don't know how many Dan stands are in the chat right now. But I was hoping that maybe I could whip them up into a frenzy.
Yeah.
And that they could all let you know that how much they would love for me to still. It's not too late for me to still get into From the Static. I can still make the whatever deadlines you have. I can still get them in,
gosh.
Tim. No, I'm just teasing you.
That was something. I could not believe the pictures that came after that. Oof. That was a lot of work, and
Yeah, kudos to everybody who has
Man,
to
there were so
do
many good
that submission process. I always think like, and then sometimes, they'll be like, yeah, we're gonna let you know in 2 weeks. I always think like, oh, thoughts and prayers to whoever has to read all of this in 2 weeks. Like that's just maddening. So.
we tried our best to get through it quickly because we know that there were other anthologies launching around the same time. If people, I didn't understand why some folks kind of like waited around to get an answer back before pitching their story to multiple anthologies. But it's a process and customer service, that's for sure.
Yeah, I can only imagine. It must be wild to have to. I mean, because I realize that you're not sitting. I can only imagine. I assume you're not sitting at the Band of Bards bullpen all day, with nothing else going on in your life and no other job and no other thing, and just being like, all right, I just need to get through these 20 submissions, and that'll be today's quota. Like you have all these other things going on, and I still have to read these 20 submissions, and I'm sure it's much more.
Yeah, I mean, Chris and I are both working stiffs. Everybody doing indie comics, it seems.
Yeah, exactly.
Have a day job, and then you get the comics work done when you can.
It's kind of like a vigilante.
In a lot of ways. Maybe we are all superheroes. We don't even know it.
There you go.
Yeah.
Heroes.
So, should talk a little bit more about Under God.
Yeah.
Um, who are like the main characters?
So the main character in Under God is Samantha Skylin, and Samantha is the very best that her society can create. So she is from this very privileged world. She is a privileged person herself, and she has been given um, a set of beliefs and a set of values. And so she's from what the outside calls New America,
Okay.
and they are God fearing people. So of course they value charity. So a big deal for them is to go give alms on Alms Giving Day. So she's so high achieving that she rates to be part of this very special ceremony. And then she goes through the wall, goes through the gate to give charity, and things go horribly wrong. And she is now stuck on the other side, on the wrong side of the wall. And once there, she sees that her beliefs do not line up with what that world tells her, and now her beliefs and her values don't line up. And
Mm.
unlike the real world where beliefs and values can be in conflict and nothing happens, in the comic book world, one of them has to go. She has to
Hmm.
make a decision. Does she believe what she's been taught about these degenerate people on the other side of the wall, or does she believe the values she was given, um, as far as what you do for the least of your brothers, you do for
Hmm.
me, and things like that. So she she makes a choice. But you have to get you have to get under you have to go here and sign up to be notified, so that you can find out what happens. Thank you,
That's.
Tim.
I like
So,
StreamYard because it's very simple for my simple brain. I can click a few things.
so I'm hopeful that it'll resonate. Like I said, I set everything to be as modest as possible. So the funding goal is $1,000.
Okay.
The only stretch goal that exists, and I mean, hopefully I can meet it. Um, the to be the I think it's called the perfect binding, or just that square binding.
Hmm.
It needs to be increased. It needs to be 60 pages. And I
Okay.
have enough back matter material and like concept art to reach 60 pages. But then the cost, of course, goes up.
Goes up.
So then I
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to meet my $1,000
Yeah.
funding. So if we can get 200% funded,
Yeah.
so if we can reach 2,000, the stretch goal is now everybody who bought a physical copy gets the nice
Very
square
cool.
bound book. So with then added material, added concept art,
Nice.
and my ramblings about all kinds of different
No,
things.
it's
So
cool though. I mean,
that's worth $1,000 alone.
well, to me, some of the best things are when you get to see all the development stuff. I think most people kind of eat that up. At least the real comic heathens. We all like to see the entire process. And I I think it's really cool when a creator takes time to kind of maybe write up a page or two just about the whole process and give their own little, almost their own little essay or book report on their work. It gives you a lot more personal touch, and it allows you to kind of see a little bit more into the thought process behind it. Hopefully, that's why people tune into things like the Bardcast. But that's something where you don't have to save a link or go back and find something. You just have it right there, and you know, getting to read a little bit more, you know, getting to read the words of the creators. It's just so much more personable, and I dig it. I'm
Yeah, I always love looking at concept art of anything that I enjoy. The concept art is like almost better than the thing
Yeah.
that I like. If I'm into it, seeing the concept art is like
Hmm.
pure, like, oh,
Oh yeah.
whatever that thing is, porn. Like, oh wow, this looks so good. Like, and like, so the characters wear these question mark masks,
Okay.
again, and the reason they wear those masks is because on the Sermon on the Mount,
Mm.
there's that line, or in the it's not in the Beatitudes, but that's where the Beatitudes happen. That when you give to the needy, your left hand should not know what your right hand is doing, so that your giving is done in secret.
Mm.
So then again with the concept of that these new America people value charity. As part of this ceremony, they wear masks so that the people that they're giving
Okay.
charity to don't know who's giving them the charity, and even
Mm-hmm.
amongst themselves, no
They don't
one
know who's
knows
doing what.
who's the one
Yeah.
that's doing what charitable act. And then but that came from so that design of that mask and how the interior arc is like the the brow. I did other drawings that had nothing to do with Under God of
Mm-hmm.
that, so that would definitely be in the backup material where it's the evolution of how I got
Very
to that
cool.
mask and that whole explanation
Oh, that's really cool.
of it. So, yeah,
Yeah. I will definitely be back in this.
awesome. Thank you
That's
very
for
much. I
sure.
appreciate
Oh,
that.
it sounds so cool. And it sounds like a story that's just kind of like right up my alley.
Awesome, awesome. Social science fiction.
Yeah.
That's a good genre.
You get into kind of like any kind of religious hypocrisy, you got my attention.
Yeah, and I want I started when I was promoting it because the preview page is coming up. I started using, you know, she's from a theocratic America, and I always feel like that unless you're really into that kind of story, I think that kind of turns people off. Like it
Yeah.
sounds like, oh, am I going to get lectured now about
Right.
about religion? Like, Under
Yeah.
God is not a lecture on religion. Under God is not a treatise on theocracy. Under God is not even you know essay on political standpoints. The story of Under God happens in that world, but it's told in a very small, intimate setting
Mm-hmm.
between these few characters. It's not like, we're not going to see any like, the Senate hearings of, theocratic. That's not a thing. That's not.
There's no HUAC.
We're not going to hear it at least. Yeah, yeah, exactly. It's not going to be like the
Oh gosh, well, that's cool. I mean, and
C-SPAN.
that's the literary device that you're using as a tool to tell, a story. Essentially, it seems like really about like just basic human conflict of, you're raised in a bubble, and when you're finally like pushed out of that bubble and your perceptions come up against reality, what do you do when there's conflict?
Yeah, and it definitely does touch on. I mean, it definitely is set in this world of like a weaponized religion,
Mm-hmm.
or the weaponization of religion, which is something that we see around us right
Everywhere.
now. So I mean, it is not critical of any religion. It's
Mm-hmm.
very critical of those who would weaponize religion. So
Right.
it's not like, again, I want to emphasize this is not 44 pages of what I think about religion. Like,
And that right there is the key distinction, right? Because you can pretty much interchange any religious discipline into that and still have it's the hypocrisy of whatever the fictional faith is that you're using. The weaponization of using that power structure to manipulate the
control
masses
people. Yeah.
and control people
Hmm.
for the benefit of whoever's at the top of that pyramid. I mean, we see that in so many different ways.
Yep. Messengers are always getting in the way of the message.
Yep.
It's,
Yeah.
sadly, that's the human way. You can build any system you want and
Mm-hmm.
put people in it, and they'll mess it up. They'll screw it right up.
We're humans, and that's what we do. I mean, right? Greed will shine through no matter what the culture
Yeah.
is, no matter what the country is, the backgrounds. Like, it's just a part of the human condition, and you know, that's unfortunate. But at the same time, it makes this story something that while on the surface people are seeing religion, this and that, it's actually a very relatable story and something that I think most people pick up on and understand what the point you're trying to say is.
Right.
So very cool. I mean,
I hope it resonates with people, because I've been in that kitchen for a few months now, making you
yeah.
something really yummy. So I really hope you enjoy it. There's nothing better than when you make something for someone that they say like, this I enjoyed this. So that's what you don't even need to tell me. I just want you to
Mm-hmm.
sit down and enjoy it.
Oh, that's great. Um, so as you've been going through this whole process and the build up towards the Zoop campaign, um, what has been maybe like the most exciting or unexpected part of that process, and what's been the most frustrating part of it for you?
Well, I really do have to say that when Kickstarter made their blockchain announcement,
Mm.
that was just terrible because I was before that I was all set to be just I'm the kick part of the Kickstarter crew. I which actually had a lot of very helpful information. There were like Kickstarter from like a marketing person at Kickstarter
Yeah.
YouTube videos, so I listened to a bunch of those, and I read a bunch of things from by that same person. Which, and to their credit, it actually did have a lot of really good information. But I don't want to. I know that the world is a hellscape, but I don't want. I want to lessen my impact on that hellscape
Mm.
in any way that I can. So I don't want to work with them. And then Zoop. So it was like a roller coaster ride because that happened, and I thought I don't know what am I going to do now? Am I just going to put it up on Comixology, I guess?
Mm.
Um, and then Zoop swooped in with that they had this service that I actually bought I pre-ordered the John Paul Leon Wintermen book.
Okay.
So I knew about them, but they really weren't set up for just taking small indies. They were
Yeah.
set up kind of like as this concierge service for bigger books. But they on a dime turned it around, and they were like, "All right,
Yeah.
we hear you. You're all worried. You need somewhere to go. Come here."
Mm-hmm.
Which was excellent on their part. I'm so appreciative of that, and they have been nothing but excellent to work with. I have so far. I've really been enjoying the whole process, and I can only expect it's going to be great all the way through. So
Yeah.
yeah,
I'd say our experience has been overwhelmingly positive. There's certainly bumps in the road that you could chalk up to growing pains, right? Um, but nothing that is like a major showstopper, that's for sure. I just hope that more people, you know, come to that platform and understand that it's a pretty easy thing to use. That it's
yeah,
not that big
very.
of a deal to set up another account. Like I get it, nobody likes, oh, I gotta put my email in here and come up with another password. Like, you know, I've throughout the Sentience campaign, I've been trying to reemphasize it that if you have a Facebook or a Google account, you can just use those credentials to log in to Zoop, and then it's just kind of like shopping through the site like a regular old like any other e-commerce site is what they've tried to build it up as. So I think there's a little bit of shock there maybe for folks who are used to like Kickstarter, and like we were talking at the beginning of how Kickstarter is synonymous with crowdfunding, kind of like Kleenexes and tissues.
Yeah.
There's that hump that is just going to be a challenge, I think, for Zoop to get over. And as Kickstarter tries to kind of like rein themselves in and maybe make some adjustments, I'm certainly not going to like shun the people that are still using it. We'll probably still use it for some different things because we, you know, as a publisher, we need to do the best thing for the work. And I'll say to the credit of Jordan and Eric over at Zoop, that was one of the first things they told us too flat. It was like, hey, we're not going to be mad if you continue to use another platform. You know, we understand it. You got needs of a business that need to be met.
Right.
So, you know, very very nice guys to work with. Very understanding people. So,
Yeah. Yeah, and I mean I think really the more options there are out
yeah,
there, the better it will be for everybody, for
yeah,
those options, and definitely for the indie creators. So
absolutely.
I mean, I think that's great that I apologize if I'm getting this name wrong, but like Dauntless Comics has like
Yeah,
a in-house
they're
crowdfunding system.
yeah
That's
they have
great.
their green light program.
Yeah, that's excellent.
Yeah,
I've seen. So I know that Indiegogo has a bad reputation with certain certain element, but I've seen some books there that those creators are definitely not in that element, and I've
yeah,
supported those books
yeah.
because let's take that back. It
Hmm.
shouldn't be just associated with that
Yeah,
element.
absolutely. Like you can't let somebody appropriate something and
Yeah,
then just like surrender it. Like
yeah,
I ha-
exactly.
I, I really like Punisher comics. I really enjoyed the character of Frank Castle. I drive a big obnoxious F-150 and I put a Punisher sticker on it because I'm going to reappropriate that son of a bitch for people who actually read the freaking comic and aren't dickheads. People who understand that you don't want to be Frank Castle.
Right. Right.
But
Yeah. Yeah. As a as a soy boy nerd, I never really got into that character, and I guess the closest I came to really liking that type of character was when the Teen Titans, the '80s Teen Titans comic was out, Wolfman and George Perez, the amazing George Perez. The vigilante character is very much like a Punisher, and I remember thinking that was very cool. But again, I was 13 or something, but like. There's a wide variety of fictional characters. Just in a superhero world, it just seems like a guy with gun may be one of the lesser powers of of superheroes.
Absolutely.
Like,
and
but I get it. I mean, he's very, very popular. I know lots of people like him.
Well,
We should take it back from the 3%ers and all the crappy people that use it.
Yeah, because those idiots. They see a bunch of like big guns and think that's where the strength is, and it's not. The strength is in the power of the guy's character. And again, he's not supposed to be someone that you hold up as a role model. I think that throughout throughout the
painful
whole series since the very beginning of it, that's always been the thing. Like, this guy's not a role model. He does a lot of really bad things, and then he has to live with the moral injury of understanding that he's done a lot of really bad things, but also feels that there needs to be somebody who will step up and do that to right some wrongs. But that's still bad. Like, there's a lot of freaking nuance and complexity to that a lot of people don't pick up on because
when that
they
gets
just
highlighted.
Yeah. And unfortunately that doesn't shine through a lot because I've enjoyed the movies, even that one that got ripped apart when he was like an FBI agent.
I've never seen a.
I want to say it was like either late '90s or early aughts. It was like the first Punisher movie they made, and it kind of got ripped apart. But I enjoyed it. It had John Travolta as the villain.
Let me ask you a question. You I hope are familiar with the movie Highlander, right? Mm-hmm. Do you remember I rewatched Highlander with my family just I don't know a couple years ago, and to show the kids this is a cool movie. Do you remember that in Highlander there's this very 80s concept of a tough on crime citizen that just rides around with an Uzi.
Oh yeah.
And when he sees a crime, he just jumps out and starts shooting at people. When I almost fell out of my chair when I saw that because I didn't remember that as being something in Highlander. Yeah. And it's it's quintessential.
Absolutely.
Even though Punisher was created before that, but it's that same mentality of tough on crime, take it onto your own hands, do a bunch of other crimes, that'll make it better.
Yeah. I mean that was a strand that you can directly tie back to westerns in the 50s and 60s, and then moving into things like Dirty Harry and what the hell was the one with Charles Bronson?
Oh yeah.
Whatever, he did
was a big something kill something or die something.
I got a gun and I shoot the bad guy. That's right.
Or what about Joe Don Baker? He just had a 2x4 walking tall.
Right. But yeah, there's that whole string, and it was typically so simplistic that hey, what the real man does is go and just takes matters into his own hands in a very really terrible individualistic kind of way. Where again, it's a problem in America that we really misunderstand what the point of being self-reliant individuals. And we take it into a really terrible extreme. And luckily some more nuance got built into a lot of those types of tropes and characters. People realize that this very simple trope is not very good, and we don't want people to look at this as being a role model. And unfortunately too many people thought that I mean, I'm pretty sure I've talked about how much I hate John Wayne and Clint Eastwood on here before, so it shouldn't shock anyone.
Excellent.
But fake tough guys, John Wayne never served in the military, right? There's that drive-by truckers song, the Santa Iwo Jima, and one of the lines is how the guy's grandfather ain't never saw John Wayne on the Santa Iwo Jima. You know, he
Nice.
made all those movies being a tough guy portraying it, but he had no idea what it actually was like. You know, so
Yeah, but you got to be careful with Clint. If you're an empty chair, you're really going to get a talking to.
I will.
So be careful. Watch
he-
your step.
He knows a lot about empty chairs because when he was in the army during the Korean War, but he spent it stateside as a lifeguard, I believe at Fort Ord, California. So, yeah,
Yeah.
that's
It's a big
where a lot of,
fascination with tough guys in our our American society.
it's where a lot of like I've worked very hard for many years in therapy to put that angry vet side away. But those guys will make the anger sharks swarm in my brain. That's for sure.
Well, we don't want that. We don't want that.
Oh man, and so we're totally off the rails here talking about that, but yeah, it's fun to see like the evolution of some of these characters and how like people who don't bother to read miss out on the actual point, and they just see the big flashy stuff that gets put up in a quick trailer, and they think they understand the character and they love them, and they have no fucking concept of what the characters are. So reading comprehension is a giant problem, right?
Reading is what? Fundamental.
Fundamental. Speaking of reading, I got a package in the mail that I saved for this. I wanted to open it
Oh,
right
excellent.
here. We got hide my address. All right. So this came from Chris Moses. Let's see what is in
It almost
here.
looks like I'm trying to look down on your side of the screen. What is that?
Well, it's a Gemini. Let's see what Kickstarter it was.
Hey, can you mail me that Gemini mailer for Under God?
I
please?
can. Nobody should ever feel bad about saving and raising Geminis. I'm not going to send a used Gemini to a paying customer, but I will certainly like save them for other things.
Paying customers, I'm gonna really clean up that used Gemini, and it'll look brand new by the time you get it with your brand new book in it.
So, this is the Saturn effect. Cool. And I always enjoyed this little notes from the
Awesome.
creator. Very cool. Very thoughtful. Thank you, Chris. Ooh, this is nice. One of the fun things to me with Kickstarters and all that is they take a long time usually to fulfill. I mean, it's just the process of it all, right? So I usually forget what the hell it is by the time it comes to me, and it's absolutely like Christmas opening up. What did I back? So wow, quite a bit of stuff.
Awesome. Good mail day.
Yeah, good meal. I think I have them all backwards. One.
Nice.
Yes. I guess a variant cover.
Cool.
I am finding out what it is that I backed all over again. And 2 and 3.
Cool.
Yeah.
Very neat.
Awesome. So that's always fun.
But really, mail me that Gemini
Yeah.
mailer.
So, and if you've never put one of these together, when I started fulfilling prospects, and no shit, I'm not ashamed of this. It took me about 10 minutes to figure this origami out.
Yeah, it really is like an origami opening.
Yeah.
I think I'm definitely going to use the rigid mailer instead of the Gemini mailer. 'Cause I think that's just going to bring things up. Like I said, I have everything set very modest.
Yeah, I mean, you kind of have to. And there's certain things to spring on, and the important thing is to know what you can, kind of splurge a bit on and when to be disciplined. And as long as the package gets there on time and in good shape, not all bunched up and ruined. Like, I'm not going to pull it out, but I had something that came in like just a regular manila envelope, basically in first class mail. And the comic did get here okay because it was properly bagged and boarded, but there were some other things in there, prints and stuff, that were just absolutely destroyed.
That's too bad. I'm sorry.
You know, the comic got here, and it helped support somebody, so cool. You take mental notes of how things like that come, and
Yeah.
it weighs on your future decisions.
Well, I've had like eBay comics come, like just
Oh gosh.
a bubble mailer and then nothing, just the comic loose in the
Yeah.
in the bubble mailer. Like, oh, great, great, awesome.
Yeah, not fun. But again, people also need to understand um, who you're backing and stuff. And like, I would hope that someone would have should hold some, a purported publisher to a higher standard, and someone who's on the first or second go around of a campaign. And there are lessons you only learn through experience. And people ought to be more forgiving and understanding. And if something does become end up damaged in transit, and if the person does something to kind of like make up for that, cool, then no sweat. um but yeah,
I
Geminis aren't the cheapest things, that's for sure.
Yeah, I think the rigid mailer is pretty standard for a lot of things, and
Yeah,
it's a lot better with a bag and board. It's a lot better than a loose bubble mailer.
absolutely. And also, if you've got something that's going to be 40 and possibly 60ish pages, that right there gives a little bit more rigidity to the package
Right, right.
itself. So that changes up what you need to package it in. But yeah, that's the exciting stuff of making comics.
Can't wait for that stage. I'm in for multiple exciting stages. May,
Yeah,
May 10th is going to be the most exciting until the next. It's dominoes, a domino effect of exciting things between now and June 10th. So
that's kind of the
looking
neat
forward to it.
thing, though, right? Is that even the super mundane, boring process crap is exciting, right? Like, not everybody gets super worked up and excited to package things and mail them off. I enjoy that, actually. Like, I used to work at a winery. One of the things I did there was put together all the online orders and stuff.
Did they have a
Um,
spigot there at the winery?
uh, I guess if you just count all the tanks as spigots. um, that was fun. Sometimes I would come in at 10 a.m. and sometimes I'd go right
Start
to wine
drinking.
tasting. Yeah. Okay.
Nice, nice.
How do you think you figure out which, there's a whole bunch of different things you can do, and finishing off the wine, and you got to figure out like what, is this best out of the stainless steel tank? Is it best out of the oak cask? Is it something that should
Or
be
is it
light?
just best in my mouth?
Yeah. Usually that's the answer. But, you know, all the little variables that go into making the wine, you've got to test them all out. Um,
That sounds exciting.
it, it's cool. But yeah. Anyway, like, so I always enjoyed that whole process of just figuring out an efficient way to put everything together and how to do it properly, put in some personal touches and stuff like that. So I enjoy
Sounds
that,
good.
but not everybody enjoys that piece. Yet when you're fulfilling your own project like that, even if you despise mailing and putting things together, like that is still kind of fun and exciting.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to all of it. There's no part of it the only the yeah, there's no part of it that I'm not looking forward to. I'm eager for like like I said, I have two more pages of initial art to do. I'm super psyched for that to be done. That's going to be a big milestone. Um, and then I can just get them. There's a couple things I want to go back and change, and some touch ups that I want to do, and then I want to scan all the pages clean again.
Hmm.
So it's just it's all good stuff now, and it's interesting to be at this point where way back on page 4 or 5 of a 44-page book, where literally literally there were, I knew the story, of course. I had my full script for myself, but literally there were parts where it's like, I mean, I know what it says, but how am I going to draw that? Like, how am I drawing this scene? Like, well, and then that multiple times. It's like, okay, now it's a scene where this part happens. Now it's a scene where that part happens, and then now I'm at the point where it's like, now I'm at one more. There's one more scene literally, and I'm done. Like it's just what's this next page, and then it's a splash page at the end. Like I'm done. Like
And he's like, holy
all
cow.
those all those thoughts of like, oh boy, but then when she does this part, or like, oh boy, well when they do this part, like they're all behind me now.
Yeah.
They've been done,
Yeah. Well,
which is neat.
if you want that excitement, you can just go and rewrite the whole thing.
Just start all over. Just don't finish this and just start page 1. We're doing it all over again.
Oh man, let me go back and make it the same, but every decision's the opposite.
Yeah, I mean I mean very much like writing a story, where you think like this is what I want to tell. These are the things that I want to have in it, and then you're like, well, how is this all going to connect? How do I get? And then brick by brick, it all does connect, and then you're at the last brick, and you're like, oh, okay, all those steps are done.
Cool.
Awesome. That sounds.
I'm sorry.
Uncle Charlie.
Yeah,
That sounds excellent.
it does.
Awesome.
Homemade.
Enjoy.
I had a friend, when we were both lieutenants, he decided to make some wine himself. And we were kind of in like temporary housing at the time, essentially like a hotel. And he just grabbed a couple gallon jugs of grape juice, a packet of
This
yeast,
sounds like a good
and some more
good
sugar.
story.
And he just put it all together into the jugs and put the jugs away in the closet for a couple weeks. And then he brought them out and insisted they were the greatest thing, and it was terrible. Oh my god, I think I smelled it and I refused to drink it. And I mean, I've not been too proud to drink some pretty terrible things, but that, oh no. Yeah. The best and brightest defending America.
Sounds real good. Sounds
Yeah.
real good. Old closet wine.
Yeah. I wish I could remember what he called it. It was terrible. The two of us ended up being in Korea
Ill.
together in the
no,
same unit,
sorry.
and he tried to make it homemade beer then, and I'm like, oh my god, this again. And that stuff was but it almost had more of a wine feel to it. It was kind of like
Flat.
it had some carbonation, but like
All right.
I don't know what I think he was trying to make like a pineapple beer, and he put way too much fruit in this stuff. So we called it Weir. But
Had he made this before, or was this his first go?
that
And he
was
was
his
like,
first
I'm
go
making
around.
pineapple beer.
That was his first attempt, and yeah, like,
I like this
going
guy's
straight to pineapple beer.
Hey, you want to make beer? Yeah, it's pineapple.
I'm making a pineapple
I like the
wheat
confidence
beer from Camp Casey in Korea as I'm living in this piece of crap building that's got mold growing all over it. But yeah, I'm gonna make some fucking craft beer.
Craft pineapple beer. Have you made this before? Absolutely not. This is my first time,
And you're gonna love it. Oh man,
and you're gonna love it.
good times. So,
Good. Sounds good.
anything else you want to plug about Under God, or anything else that people should know?
That Under God campaign, the pre-order page goes live May 10th, and that you can find it at, Tim's going to put it up, and that it's right here, zoop.gg/c/undergod, or if you just go to zoop.gg and hit explore, you will see the Undergod cover right there.
Mm-hmm.
And I really hope that everyone checks it out. I have made the very best comic to my ability, and I think it's my best looking stuff. It's going to be my best story so far, and it's going to appeal to fans of social science fiction. And it is it's going to be a great story, self-contained, 44-page graphic novel.
I don't know what anybody else could want. That's everything in one package right there.
It's it. That's the whole package.
Yes. All right. I want to thank everybody who's tuned in, and anybody who comes and watches the recording. We'll certainly be sharing it throughout the week.
Thanks, Tim, for having me on. I appreciate it very much.
we've got one comment in the chat that is important to answer.
Oh, is I mean, I might, maybe that's a 300. If we can get 300%, I'll, I'll make a batch of closet wine.
I can definitely advise you that there will be some legal issues and selling the alcohol across state lines.
Well, but maybe it'll just be like digitally, just a video of me drinking closet wine.
Oh,
or
you know what?
something.
You know what? It'll be an NFT. There you go.
No, no, I cannot do that. I cannot do that.
NFT wine, baby.
No,
Just
no.
have a picture of me drinking it, and there you go. Give me $10,000.
I cannot play with that.
Oh gosh. All right. So thanks everybody for joining in. And being a loyal Buffalonian, I have to say, go Bills.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you for joining. Peace.